Berkshire Environmental Action Team works with you to protect the environment for wildlife in support of the natural world that sustains us all. We have three main program areas: education and outreach, watchdogging, and stewardship.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Orenstein, and I am the Berkshire Environmental Action Team Education and Outreach Coordinator. Every week, I pull together the Beat News, Beat's weekly e-newsletter with environmental news, calendar of events, and public notices for all of Western Mass. If you want to know what is going on environmentally, subscribe to the Beat News. I also organize our monthly Pittsfield Green Drinks on the third Tuesday of every month, and I lead educational programs like tree walks and encourage people in the center of Pittsfield to take advantage of our program to have trees planted for free on their properties. Find out more on our website, thebeatnews.org.
Hi, I'm Rosemary Wessel. I lead Beat's No Frack Gas and Mass program, part of Beat's watchdogging effort. We started in 2014 fighting the Northeast Energy Direct frack gas pipeline, originally proposed to run across the entire state of Massachusetts from Richmond to Dracut. We stopped that pipeline, and now we're working to promote energy efficiency, storage, and properly sited clean, renewable energy while we oppose any new fossil fuel infrastructure. For more information, check out our website at nofrackedgasinmass.org. And if you see something you think is a threat to the environment, whether that's a proposed development project or an old tire dump, contact Beat to see if we can help.
Hi, I'm Aaliyah Delmolino, Beat's Stewardship Manager and GIS Analyst. I work with volunteers to use cutting-edge technology to gather data on everything from what might be in the water entering our rivers through stormwater pipes to what wildlife are moving in and around the Berkshires. One of our goals is to work with many partners to maintain and enhance the wildlife linkages from the Hudson Highlands to the south to the Green Mountains to our north. At Beat, we have lots of opportunities for you to get involved, from helping us pull invasive hardy kiwi, getting wet and dirty hauling trash out of the river, setting up wildlife cameras, collecting data on road stream crossings, and so much more. Please check out our website, come to one of our events, or get in touch to learn more about Beat.
Hi, my name's Jane Wynn, and I'm the Executive Director of the Berkshire Environmental Action Team, or BEAT. And we're here in BEAT's new headquarters at 20 Chapel Street in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about some of the neat things we've been doing. And actually, because I have this map here, I'd like to tell you a bit about the Mill Street Dam that has just been removed to restore a free-flowing river. And one of the things BEAT works hard is to try to increase connectivity for wildlife. So in this case, the fish and other aquatic organisms can now go up and down the river without having a huge dam in their way. The other thing we do, also on this map, is we look for places where there are pipes coming into the river that are supposed to be carrying stormwater, but occasionally they're carrying raw sewage as well. And in this case, we found a pipe that isn't supposed to be carrying stormwater. It carries sewage from one side of Pittsfield across from west to east, and it crosses over the southwest branch of the Housatonic River, and where it was crossing, it was leaking raw sewage into the river. And we were pleased. We reported the leak, and immediately the city of Pittsfield took action and had it solved as quickly as possible. So that is no longer going into the Housatonic River. We work often on the Housatonic River. We're currently located in the Housatonic River watershed, meaning all the land area that flows into the Housatonic River. And the Housatonic starts in Massachusetts, but then flows down through Connecticut to Long Island Sound. And this is a river that in the past was heavily polluted. I actually grew up living right next to the Housatonic River at a time where the river smelled so bad that when we'd cross over a river bridge, we'd hold our breath. One night, the river caught on fire outside my house. So I was down there looking at the fire burning on the water and breathing in, I'm sure, all sorts of PCB-laden air from the era when the General Electric Company dumped PCBs into our river. Along with those PCBs, other companies were dumping all sorts of things, oil and gas from gas stations, the paper mills had their pulp going in, and their paints so that the river would run different colors on different days. And certainly what was burning was probably gasoline in there, because PCBs don't burn, but they get carried in an oil that certainly could have been part of that. So the history of this very polluted river goes back into, well, the 40s, when they were constantly dumping into the river. In 1977, PCBs were banned, so no new PCBs have been intentionally going into the river since then. And there's been a huge cleanup of PCBs. There was a document in 2000 signed called a consent decree that laid out the framework for forcing the General Electric Company to clean the PCB-laden sediments out of the river and soils out of the floodplain. And so far, they've cleaned up the first 2 miles of the river. And by cleaned up, I really mean they've taken out a lot of the sediment and a lot of the PCBs, but they've also put down geotextile barriers to cover up some of it. And in the land along the sides, they've done a lot of just covering up. In doing all that, they had to put this material somewhere, and in the 2000 consent decree, they were allowed to create 3 toxic waste dumps in the city of Pittsfield. 1 low level and 2 high level. Luckily, only 1 of the high level dumps was built and 1 low level. The low level one isn't lined, so there's still material migrating toward the river from that dump. Now we're in this huge battle to try to get the rest of the river, so downstream of that 2 miles, remediated. And the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, came out with a permit in 2016 requiring GE to do a certain amount of cleanup and then to take all the material to an out-of-sight, already licensed landfill. We and several others appealed that permit, and so did GE. GE's main complaint was they wanted to dump all the material back in the Berkshires. We wanted the material taken to the out-of-state landfill, but we also wanted a much better cleanup. We wanted more PCBs removed from the river and to end up with a much cleaner river than what they were proposing. Unfortunately, our appeal, we lost on much better cleanup, and the Environmental Appeals Board remanded the question of whether the dump should be in the Berkshires or out of state back to the EPA and said, you have to come up with a better justification for why material should be taken out of the Berkshires. At that point, the EPA decided, and GE agreed, to have mediation. So the parties that appealed were able to sit down and discuss what they thought should happen. And we pushed all our points of we want a much better cleanup, we want dams removed, we want stormwater pipes pulled back from the river. We asked for everything we could think of, including having the EPA do test different types of alternative remediation for the PCBs in our river. And the Housatonic River Initiative was very big on alternative technologies to remediate the river. Out of that mediation, we feel came a much better, much more thorough cleanup with removal of 2 dams, taking out 100 acres more of PCB-laden sediment out of the river, reducing the amount of capping in the river where they put down geotextile material over the PCBs. So we felt it was a good step forward. The one concession was there will be 1 low-level dump allowed in the Berkshires. And many people object to having a dump in the Berkshires, and we object too, but it's just 1 and it's low level. And we felt certain that if the previous permit had gone through, we could have ended up with 1, 2, or 3 high-level dumps in the Berkshires. So we felt this guarantee of only 1 low-level dump was a good compromise to get a much better cleanup, which in a way is removing a 100-acre dump from being in the river, unlined and uncapped, and just flowing down toward Long Island Sound. So this is a map of the Housatonic River, and it starts with the headwaters way up in Hinsdale and Washington, Massachusetts at Muddy Pond, and then the East Branch flows north first and comes around into Pittsfield, where it joins with the West Branch, West Branch and Southwest Branch, to form the main stem, which runs all the way down through Massachusetts, takes a little dog leg, continues down through Sheffield and into Connecticut, and all the way down to Stratford, Connecticut, and into the Long Island Sound. And Beat is located back up on the southwest branch of the Housatonic River, which is the smallest branch, but the only branch of the river where we've never found PCBs. The southwest branch starts at Richmond Pond and flows down to the rest of the Housatonic River. In Pittsfield, there had been PCB dumping alongside of the west branch of the Housatonic River, so PCBs had been found in the west branch. And then GE was located on the East Branch, and that branch was heavily polluted. And then the entire main stem has PCBs. So the branch from Richmond Pond to where it joins the other branches is the only branch where we've never found PCBs. So PCBs are polychlorinated biphenyls, and poly meaning many, chlorinated with chlorine, and that's the part that makes these so toxic. And the PCBs in the Housatonic River are very, very chlorinated, which not only makes them toxic, it also makes them very hard to break down. So the General Electric Company used PCB, oil-containing PCBs in transformers, and they're a fire retardant, so it prevented the transformers from catching fire. However, the people who were actually working with the PCBs, GE would have one worker come in, and if they developed what they call chloracne, a skin condition from the chlorine in the PCBs, they would just find somebody else until somebody who was not reactive, they'd have them in there actually cleaning out the areas that contained the PCBs. It was a pretty horrible job, and I think many, many people from Pittsfield who worked at GE believe that their cancers were caused by the PCBs. And certainly there are people who live along the Housatonic River who believe their cancer was caused by the PCBs. Now, Beat's focus is mainly on wildlife. Mink can't live along the main stem of the Housatonic River where there are high levels of PCBs because the fish contain such high levels that the pups can't survive, so that mink can pass through, but they can't actually breed near the Housatonic River.
The show you are watching has been produced by SACC.TV. SAC-TV is a not-for-profit organization that provides educational programming. seeking to enrich communities by producing shows on culture, science, health, the arts, and more. If you enjoy what you've seen, visit us on YouTube and Facebook. Subscribe, like, share, and pass the word around. For more information and to see the latest shows, visit www.sac.tv or contact us as director@sac.tv or by phone at 518-831-9145. For now, back to our program, and stay tuned for more great shows.
Just such a shame to see all the trash in the river. You can tell we're back 100 years ago when people dumped all their refuse at the end of their property in the river. We find soles of shoes from leather, made of leather, that are still there after all these years. We find bottles like this that are, some of them, when I date them on the computer, when I look them up, they're over 100 years old, back when Pittsfield had so many dairy farms. So not only do we find these little treasures, but we clean up so much debris. There are so many of those little plastic mini alcohol bottles, booze bottles, tires, so much broken glass that can cut the feet of animals or people. And it's just so nice to see a river that's clean versus one that has all this garbage.
We're finding a lot less trash and newer trash. A lot of the trash we used to get out had been from decades of pollution. But the river is getting cleaner and better, and this year we're seeing lots and lots of fish in the river. It's really much more of a thriving ecosystem. So, we're now right behind Beats Building, and it's right on the southwest branch of the Housatonic River. It's great to be able to be so close to the river because much of what Beat does is water quality monitoring. We can train volunteers right here to do our water quality monitoring. Beat is a nonprofit 501c3 organization, and we have a small staff. Mostly we work part-time, but we've got 1 full-time and 6 part-time staff, and we rely extensively on volunteers. So if you're interested in helping out, we'd love to have your help. It's been a little strange during COVID-19, but we still have done river cleanups and sometimes park cleanups. We do our water quality monitoring throughout the Berkshires, and we do things like invasive species removal, which I'm standing in front of all sorts of invasive species that eventually will get removed at Beat as well. So if you're interested, you can either check our website or give us a call at 413-464-9402, and we'd love to have you help out. So we're standing outside Beats Building along our riverbank, which we don't own the property yet, but once we do, we would like to get rid of the invasive species here and have this be all native fruit, nut, trees, and shrubs. Right now we have things like Norway maple, which is a highly invasive non-native tree that spreads quickly. We've got multiflora rose. We have some of the highest growing multiflora rose climbing up trees that I've ever seen. In addition to being invasive and non-native, it also is really prickly and will grab you and it hurts. Let's see, we also have, I guess over here, we have a honeysuckle that's a non-native, and I don't know which of the non-native honeysuckles. Oh, here's a better piece of non-native multiflora rose. You can see the rose hips. And further up above me is our one native tree that's a black walnut tree that we definitely will be trying to keep because it's a good nut-producing tree that is great for wildlife and humans. And we want to restore this area in large part for wildlife. I got involved with Beat because we were looking at a development project that was going to have an impact on a vernal pool. A vernal pool is a pool that fills up in the springtime with water, and all sorts of really cool animals like wood frogs and spotted salamanders come to the pool to breed. We were afraid that the development would hurt the vernal pool. But there are laws in place that should have prevented that. And we got involved and watched as all the really good laws were not being enforced. And we lost on that one. That vernal pool complex is really, really damaged. Although 10 years later, they did try to restore the hydrology and it may come back. My passion for this is I love wildlife. I grew up on the Housatonic River thinking I was really good at catching frogs. Little did I know that because of the PCBs, the frogs had a low startle response and just didn't try to get away. One day when I was working for Beat, somebody asked me, why do you do this? And I said without thinking, this is what I was born to do. And I think I really believe that. Beat works to protect the environment for wildlife. And we've been incredibly lucky to attract an awesome staff that all really, really are passionate about protecting wildlife. We all have very diverse backgrounds and come with a really diverse skill set, but almost anyone can make a great environmentalist. And usually, if there's a problem that affects you and the environment, you'll suddenly realize you're an environmentalist too when it's the problem that affects the place you care about. So, this is the property that Beat is currently renting, and it's great. It's got a space where we can hold events that holds about 60 people. It's got plenty of room for us to be working and hold workshops. Got a lower level as well as the ground level. It just seems to be a perfect fit for us. But at the moment, we're renting it. And it's a former church, and the congregation has dwindled, and they would very much like to sell, and we would very much like to buy. But we need to raise the funds to do that while still raising our annual operating budget. So if you'd be interested in donating, we would very much appreciate it. You can visit our website at thebeatnews.org. That's TheBeatnews.org. And there's a nice big donate button there. Another program that Beat has is our No Fracked Gas in Mass program. And it's not really just about Massachusetts. We started out fighting against the Northeast Energy Direct Frack Gas high-pressure pipeline that was scheduled to go all the way across Massachusetts from New York State to a hub in Dracut, where it would then have connected up with another pipeline to Nova Scotia for export. We not only fought against that, but we won. and we've been fighting fossil fuels ever since. And our nofracgasandmask.com website has a ton of information for anyone fighting against fossil fuel infrastructure on ways to fight it, resolutions that you can pass in your own town or by state. We've worked really hard on fighting the fossil fuel industry. At the same time, promoting energy efficiency, demand response, and clean, renewable energy that's carefully cited. So with all these things, if you visit that website, you can find out lots of ways that you can be doing this in your hometown as well. So thank you very much for taking an interest in BEAT and our No Frack Gas and Mask program and all that we do. I hope you'll reach out and contact us. You can give us a call or check the website, and from the website you can always email us. Really looking forward to hearing from you. And what are you doing to protect the environment? We'd love to know, and we'd love to have you come out and volunteer and work with us.
Well, welcome back. I'm still trying to bake the muffins. But finally, I think we're finished. I hope you enjoyed our show today. If you would like to make an order or donate muffins to charity, then please go to the website listed below. With every muffin order, we donate muffins to the charity of your choice. I call it giving your dough to charity. I also encourage you to donate directly to the featured charity today by going directly to our website and getting their information. Thank you very much for watching, and keep on dancing through life by giving to others through love. Let me finish baking these muffins, and see you next time.
Do you know the Muffin Man?